there is a question being asked, do you help with Selenium with Java or even Selenium with C Sharp? In the training, we will be doing Selenium with Java. Okay, in my site qtvselenium.com, I only cover Selenium with Java. I don't teach Selenium with C Sharp. Okay, this is because around 70% of the industry is using only Selenium. Then Ruby and C Sharp, these are the two languages which I use. Now, if you talk practically, then if you look at the history of Selenium, how it evolved a period of time, so you will understand what we will be doing in the course. Okay, if you look at the history of Selenium, then Selenium actually, when it came in the market, there were three components in Selenium. Right, I'm talking about the history of Selenium. So there it was known as Selenium RC, one was known as IDE, and one was known as GRID. Okay, right now somebody is pinging me on WebEx, Skype. I am not aware of Python language, Melvin, so I cannot give an overview of something Selenium with Python. I'll be teaching you with Java. But you know what? If you learn it with Java, if you learn it with Ruby, if you learn it with C Sharp, it's not that you cannot work with some other language. The core commands and the core API and the core functionality is same. Using a language is just a wrapper. I'll talk about it in some time. Just give me some time. Okay. Now, when you'll understand why Selenium is available in various languages just in some time. Just let me give you a brief background about this tool. Now, IDE is a tool which I think most of you might have seen, right? The thing is, it is primarily a record and playback tool. Right now, for me, I don't consider IDE to be a tool as far as my opinion is concerned. I'll never use IDE in a project. Okay, because first of all, the major problem is there are no reports. IDE never generates any reports. If you have a big project, say there are 1000 test cases, it becomes very difficult to automate it with IDE. Right. Secondly, IDE only works in Mozilla. Okay, Selenium IDE will only work on Mozilla Firefox. It will not work on any other browser. Right. So that's why people, because of these all limitations and all, people had been using RC earlier. RC is also known as Selenium 1.0. Selenium RC works on multiple browsers. Okay, it works on browsers like Mozilla, Chrome, IE, then Opera, then Safari. Okay, Selenium RC will work on multiple browsers, right? And it supports multiple languages like Java, Ruby, Python, Perl, PHP, C Sharp. Okay, now Selenium RC, which is Selenium 1.0, is supporting so many languages. It's not necessary to learn it with all the languages. Okay, why is it supporting all these languages? I'll just tell you. Right, just give me 1 minute. There's a question being asked. I am unable to. It says yes. Look, the thing is, in this meeting, I take maximum 25 people. If 26% tries to join in, he'll not be able to join in. And the reason I do that is because of, first of all, attention in the class, and secondly, it becomes a little tough to manage as well, right? So fine, as I was talking about this thing, that Selenium RC is available in multiple languages. Why is that? This is because the core of Selenium, okay, if you talk about Selenium, then if this is Selenium core, right, this is made in a language known as JavaScript. Okay, don't confuse Java with JavaScript. JavaScript is very different. JavaScript is a language which is understood by the browsers. Okay, It's a language for browsers. All these browsers, Mozilla, Chrome, IE and all these browsers, they understand JavaScript very well. Fine. So the Selenium, which is the inner component of Selenium, is made in a language known as JavaScript. On that inner core, they have a wrapper. Okay, this wrapper can be made in any language like Java, C Sharp, Ruby, Python, Perl, PHP, whatever it is, and you fire the commands corresponding to the language, to the wrapper. In the end, the commands, they are converted into JavaScript commands only. Okay, so the core part remains the same. The language on the top, it differs, right? Now, which language to use, it is completely upon you and your company. You can use any language. In the end, the commands will remain same. People who have learned Selenium with Java, they don't find it very tough to learn Selenium with C Sharp, because in the end, the inner commands are same. Only the wordings are different. Okay, right? So this was a little bit background. The ID was there, RC is there, which is 1.0. GRID is there. GRID is something which helps you to run your test cases parallelly. In GRID, we make a central machine, right? We call that machine as hub. Okay, and with that machine, we connect various other machines, right? And we run the test cases parallelly. Okay, suppose on one machine I can run on Mozilla, on other machine I can run on IE, then Chrome, and then Opera, right? So you can parallelly run the test cases, or you have 4,000 test cases, you distribute 1,000 test cases on each of the machines. So this is GRID, right? Now Selenium RC as a tool had various drawbacks. I worked on Selenium RC for the first time in 2007. I've heard that it came somewhere around 2005. When I worked at that time, it had a lot of drawbacks, and the information was also not available on the internet about the tool, right? The primary drawback which I used to face was that there used to be a server in Selenium RC. There used to be a server which you had to start from the command prompt, and at times that server never used to start. Then I felt that I used to end up restarting my machine sometimes, or it used to be a pain in the neck basically, right? And then the commands which were available in Selenium RC were having restrictions. There were many things which you couldn't do. I cannot discuss them right now because many of you might not be having any background, but there were restrictions with RC which I will tell you as we proceed with the course, right? So what happened was, these guys, they came together. ThoughtWorks is the company which is responsible for Selenium. They made Selenium. Okay, some people from Google, some people from ThoughtWorks, they came up and they built Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver is also known as 2.0, right? Right. So this thing happened, right? Don't think that Selenium RC got upgraded to Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver is completely different than Selenium RC. It's completely new tool, right? The complete commands are different. Everything is different. People who have learned WebDriver, when they look back at RC code, they are not able to understand it. Okay, right? So now Selenium WebDriver, it worked on multiple browsers like Mozilla, Chrome, IE, Opera, Safari and all, right? So, and it also supports multiple languages, Java, Ruby, Python, C Sharp, all that stuff, but it is much more in functionality than RC, right? IDE is still there. Selenium IDE is obviously still there, and GRID has been modified to GRID 2, which supports WebDriver as well. Okay, fine. So this is a brief history about Selenium. Anybody having any questions or doubts? In this training, we'll be doing Selenium WebDriver. We'll not be looking at RC. Right? We'll not be looking at RC. So anybody having any questions before I move further? Anything? Nothing, right? So now the first hindrance which everybody has while learning this tool, the first hindrance is the Java language. Most of the testers I've seen, they are scared of Java language. Okay, you don't need to be scared of it, right? It's not something which will happen in one day and you will learn in one day. It's something which takes time. Okay, but look at the advantage of learning this language. If you learn Java and if you learn Selenium, then if you talk about other testing tools, for example, SOAP UI is a tool which is used for web services, right? It is very easy to learn this tool. Then there is a tool known as JMeter which is used for load testing, right? It becomes easy to learn this tool as well. So you cannot run away from programming. You have to learn it, and it is not something which will come in 10 days or 15 days. I would say that you should keep a buffer time for 7 to 8 weeks to actually get moving. Fine. So and also do not do the mistake of skipping the Java language learning process and directly start working on Selenium, because Java is the backbone of Selenium language. I have seen many people just ignoring Java language and directly switching over to Selenium, and then they get confused and they end up learning they end up the learning process. They simply give it up, right? So just don't ignore Java language and don't be afraid of it as well. It's the backbone, so please learn it properly. I'm going to talk about it in the course right now. Okay, the major problem is, the major thing is, all of you might have heard about something known as OOPS. OOPS is object oriented programming. Fine. If you have the concepts of OOPS clear, that is object oriented programming, it is very easy to learn Selenium through even the Selenium documentation, that is Java docs. So in this course I'll be covering OOPS as well, right? So let's start with Java. I hope everybody has installed Java, right? Because you are able to join the WebEx conference. Fine. So 25 people, right? So anyways, I'll send you the recorded session. Fine. Now if you have a 64-bit machine, okay, many of you might be having 64-bit machine, right? Please make sure that you have installed JDK. Okay, then let me talk about that, because it is required for a 64-bit machine. Just go to Google and install JDK as well. Just type JDK download. Fine. Just go to the first link over here, that is Java SE downloads. Just go here and you will see this thing, Java platform JDK 7. You just click on this, and I'm talking about people with 64-bit machines. Even if you have 32-bit, you can do that. If you have a 64-bit machine, you can use this. If you have a 32-bit machine, you can use this. Okay, please download and install it. Right. The second thing which you need to download is Eclipse. Eclipse is the editor for Java language. And if you have to write the Java code, you use Eclipse to write the Java code. Okay, you go to Google and type Eclipse download. Okay, you go to this link, Eclipse downloads, and I'll talk about it. Just hold on, Jatra. Yes, Bivas, you can use Mac as well. Right. So once you are there on this page, Eclipse downloads page, I'll give you the link as well. This is the link I'm giving you on WebEx chat. Right. You can simply download this one. I prefer this one, Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. Depending on your operating system, just download it. Right. Now, if you have how to check if yeah, there's a question being asked, how do I check if Java is there in my PC or not? You can go to my computer and you can go to your program files. in your program files, you will have a Java folder. Open that. If you have installed JDK, there should be a folder known as JDK. If you don't have JDK installed, you have just installed normal Java, then you should have JRE folder. Okay, right? And as far as Eclipse is concerned, when you download Eclipse and extract it, it will come up with a folder like Eclipse. When you open the folder, you will see these many files in it. Okay, Eclipse is not installable, it comes as a bundle. Fine. When you start Eclipse, you start it from eclipse.exe. You create a shortcut for desktop and start eclipse.exe. Fine. So when eclipse.exe starts, hold on. No, that's the problem. I think I should stop using WebEx and use some other tool with good space. Right. So this is the window which you get, Workspace Launcher. Out here you have the path, or I create a new path, March weekend. This is known as the workspace. Okay. This is, yeah, Chitra, you can keep on using the current one which you have in your machine. Right. This is known as the workspace path. This is the path where you will be storing all your programs and all everything. Okay. When you click on OK, it will start up. Now, guys, some of you might be having a prior background about this tool, right? You must be having prior background about Eclipse, but I'm starting from the basics because there are people in this training who are not aware of Eclipse and all. But all I'm assuming is that you have a certain background, that is, you at least know what programming is, right? You at least know what a if statement is, you at least know what a for loop is, what a function is. Fine. So the basic thing which I am assuming right now from you guys is that you have a brief background about programming. You know what if statements are, what for loops are, what functions are. If you don't know all that stuff, okay, I would recommend that don't join the training directly. If you want, you can buy the access to the videos. In the videos I have discussed everything. Watch them and then you can join the training later on by paying the remaining piece. You don't need to pay the full piece. So that will help you a lot. Okay, right. So, right, fine. Now this is Eclipse. It's just started up. Okay, it's divided into various panels. Okay, the left hand panel out here is known as Package Explorer. The central panel out here is the one in which you will write the Java code. Right. The bottom panel out here is the one where you will get the output of whatever coding and all you do. Okay, right. Now you have to create your first Java project over here. So you right click on this white space, Project Explorer. You will get a new project option. You select that, and in Java, you will have Java project. Okay, click on next and select the project. I'll name it as day 1. Fine. When you click on next, so you will see and finish. Yes, you will see that there is a project which is on the left hand panel known as day 1. Right. If you expand the project, you will find the source folder and JRE system library inside it. Right. This JRE system library is actually nothing but Java which was installed on your system. Okay, this is Java which is associated with your project. Okay, you don't have to do anything with it. All we will do is we will work with the source folder. All the coding and all which we do will happen inside the source folder. If you want to know where this project is lying on your physical workspace, that is hard disk, right? You can right click on this project and you will get lot of options. When you right click on the project, hold on, it is stuck. Just give it a minute. Yeah. When you right click, you get so many options, and one of the last options is properties. We will be using this properties option a lot. Fine. I'll again tell you, right click on the project and you can go to the project properties. The project properties Like for example, in the resource tab over here, you have the location where the project is lying. This is the path. So this is actually the workspace path which we had created in the beginning. Fine. So you have this workspace path. Out here, this is the day one project, and in this you have the source folder, bin folder, some files, out of which only source folder is visible inside Eclipse. Okay, so I'll talk about others as well. So this is the source folder in which you'll be doing all the coding. Okay, now just 1 minute, guys. Right now, in this source folder, okay, you right click and you can select new class. Okay, and new class means new Java file. Right, when you select it, you get a window like this with various options. You can give the name of the file as, say, I'll name it as welcome.java. You just write welcome over here. Fine, and you can check this function public static void main. And you can make a checkbox, click on this and click on finish. So you will have automatically a class known as welcome.java generated. Okay, I just increase my font size so that you can have a better view. Just a minute. Yeah, I've increased the font size and I hope you are able to see that. Right, so this is the class which is generated. Okay, the name of the class, public class welcome, should be same as the name of the Java file. If I give some other name, then immediately Eclipse will give me an error. So in Java, it is very necessary that the name of the class should be same as the name of the Java file. And this is the main function. If you have studied C language, then the main function was also in C language. This is the function in which the control comes over for the first time when you try to execute your program. This is the starting, or you can say the starting unit of the program, right? The control will come over here, right, when you run the program. Okay, what is public, what is static, and all these things, right? I will come over to it. I'll tell you what static is, what public is, when I tell you the concepts of object oriented programming. For time being, fine, please accept things as they are. For time being, accept things as they are. As I proceed with the course, you'll come to know. Fine. Now in Java, if you have to print something, you can write system.out.println, say hello Selenium. Okay, system.out.println is the command in Java. Okay, if you have to execute this program in Eclipse, there is a button out here for executing. You can execute by clicking on this button and it will go forward and type hello Selenium in console. Okay, if you want to execute, you can also right click on welcome.java and you can run as Java application. You can select this will also execute the file. Okay, right click on the file, run as Java application. Fine. Okay, now as I told you, I'm assuming you have basic knowledge of programming. For example, what an int is. In Selenium you have int I equal, in Java you have int I equals to 100. This is an integer, right? No, string x equals to hello, right? So this is a string, right? There are few questions being asked. Eclipse can be used as an editor in C#. No, for C# you have Visual Studio, you don't have Eclipse. Or what are the words in red? Okay, these things just ignore that. I had done some fiddling with my Eclipse, that's why this is coming. Don't ignore that, you will not get this. Okay, right? So there is an integer, there are strings and a lot of stuff, right? The command to print is system.out.println. The shortcut is you type SYSO and then hit control space bar of your keyboard. Okay, just type SYSO, then hit control space bar, it will come up. If I write over here X, then it will print the value of X, that is hello world. Okay, right? Now, moving further, okay, if you look at the physical location where this project was lying, that is, it was lying under this path. If you go to this path and if you look at the source folder, you will see welcome.java file over here. This is the same file which we had created in Eclipse. Okay, right? This is present inside the source folder. If you open the bin folder, then you will have welcome.class file generated. This class file is like an executable file. Every Java file is automatically converted to a class file. Okay, this is like a executable file which you can deliver to your client and he can execute this file. If you try to open this file, you will not be able to understand anything inside it. Okay, so you can, this class file is deployable. For example, when the developers say that fine, we are doing a development, what do? They deploy the class files on the server. Okay, so this you actually deliver to the client at times. Fine, if you don't want to give your client the code, right? And even if I make a new file, for example, if I create a new class known as say hello world in Java, and inside this class, if I write system.out.println hello world, and if I run this, it prints hello world. And if you look at your bin folder, you will have hello world.class file automatically generated. So every Java file gets converted to a class file, and that is actually executed. Fine. Now think of a scenario wherein you are having lot of class files. These all are my class files, and you are having lot of class files. Okay, and you have to give all these class files to your client. So how will you give so many class files to your client? Okay, because when we deliver the project, we deliver the class files, right? So what we do is that we combine all the class files into a single file, and that single file is known as a jar file. Many of you might have heard the word jar file. So jar file is nothing but a collection of class files. For example, giving you a practical example, when you install Java on your machine, what happens? This is the GRE system library in Eclipse. This is Java which was installed on your machine. Fine. If you expand this, you will have various jar files. You see these all jar files? If you expand this, you will have all these jar files. Okay. What is this jar file? What if you expand each and every jar file, you will see that lot of class files are present inside each and every jar file. So these classes, they can be used. For example, I'll tell you, if I write in Java, if I write system.out.println new date, just forget about it. What do I mean by saying new date over here? Okay, just forget about it. Fine. But if I write new date, date is an existing class which is present in any one of these jar files. It is an existing class file which is already there in one of these jar files. If I run this, it prints the current date and time and the time zone and all everything. I hope you got my point, right? So what I have done is I have used an existing class file which was delivered to me when I downloaded Java. Okay, this class file was delivered to me when I had downloaded Java language, right? And this is out here in one of the jar files. Hope you got my point, right? So this is the concept of a class and a jar file. Many class files, they combine and make a jar file. right? So when you have to get Selenium in your project, you don't do anything but you get the jar files of Selenium in your project. Whosoever made Selenium, if you go to the website of Selenium, for example, I go here, seleniumhq.org. Are you able to get my point? If you have any questions, please let me know. Right? If you go to this site, seleniumhq.org, the first line, first of all, is written over here. Selenium automates browsers. So make sure that you have the concept very clear. Selenium is only for browsers. It is not for Windows-based applications, right? Or on iPhone or on Android, it cannot test an iPhone-based application or an Android-based application. Selenium is primarily made for browsers. On iPhone and on Android, it can only test your website. That is, how is the website opening on the browser inside iPhone or Android. Okay. If you go to the download link over here, you will have these all download links. Video is stuck. So these are the various client versions for various languages. Right? We are using Java. Okay. So you click on this download link over here, and you can download the jar files for Selenium. Okay. So I'm just downloading them. Just be with me. Okay. In this zip file, you have the Selenium jar file. So what Selenium guys did? Selenium guys, they actually used the jars. Okay, they made jars and they gave it to us and told us that inside these jars Selenium will be present. Yes, Selenium cannot be used for desktop-based applications, right? So you have downloaded it, and I'll keep it in out here, right? So when you extract this thing, you have a folder called Selenium coming up over here. When you open it up, you will have these two jar files. Okay, and along with it, you will have jar files under the lib folder, right? If you open the lib folder, you'll have many jar files out here as well. Okay, you'll have many jar files out here as well. And what you need to do is that you need to include all these Selenium jar files in your project. Then only your project will be Selenium enabled. Selenium is not like QTP. Okay, Selenium is not like QTP. In QTP, you have an exe file, you install that, and QTP gets installed on your machine. Selenium is little different. It is very different. All right. So in Selenium, you have the concept of the jar files. You need to download the jar files and you need to include them in the project. If you right click on the project and go to the properties again, you will have the Java build path option over here. You check on this tab, Java build path. When you click on this, you will have various 4 other tabs. Okay, source, projects, libraries, order and export, right? When you click on this libraries tab, fine, you will have GRE system library over here. So this is actually Java which is there in your project, in this one, right? And out here you can click on add external jars, this button. When you click on this, you'll have this window. You navigate to the place where you had downloaded Selenium, right? Include these 2 jars, open, and also don't forget to include the jars inside the lib folder. Alright, and when you click on OK, you will have this reference libraries section coming up. In this reference libraries, you will have the jar files of Selenium. So now your project is Selenium enabled. That's it. You don't need to install Selenium. There is nothing known as installing Selenium. I've seen many people telling me that how to install Selenium. You don't install Selenium, you configure it. You just include the jar files of Selenium in your project. So these are the jar files of Java language and these are the jar files of Selenium. That's it. Now you can start working with Selenium. But how do you work with Selenium? if you look at the SeleniumHQ.org website, this is the Java client thing, and here is the Java doc. Java doc means Java documentation. The documentation for Selenium, which tells us that what all is present inside these jar files. If you expand this, it's huge, right? So this documentation tells us, if you try to open the documentation, then here is the place where a lot of people they get confused. They are not able to understand the technical language out here. Okay. The thing is, you know what? You need to know the concept of object-oriented programming. If you don't know the concept of object-oriented programming, you cannot learn Selenium. So before I move forward and tell you how to work with Selenium, I'll tell you how to use object-oriented programming. Fine. So let us start with the concepts of object-oriented programming. I'm not teaching you about if statements, for loops, and all the other stuff, because I'm assuming you know the basic stuff. Because if I teach that, then I'll waste a lot of time. The basic goal is to learn Java and Selenium. So all these statements and loops are there in every other language. Fine. So I'll just create a new class over here, and I'll talk about the concepts of object-oriented programming. Now this is the background. This is the main thing on which everything lies, right? So please listen to it carefully. Okay. I'll make a new class, and I will name that class as, say, I'll name that class as computer. Okay. I have this class called computer. Fine. Now what are the properties of a computer? Say string, type, what type of PC it is, whether it is a desktop PC or it is a laptop, right? Then there can be a property like string OS, that is what is the kind of OS it has, right? And say int USB ports, the number of ports it has got. Okay, so this is the class computer, and this computer has got three properties: the type of PC, the operating system it is having, and ports. Fine. Now let me create a new class known as, say, client, having the main function. Computer class was not having main function. You cannot execute it, but it describes what the computer is having, what are the various components of a computer, right? So the client class over here, in this client class, you can do something known as create object of the computer class. Okay. Look, I'm moving forward, but before I do that, anybody with any questions, please feel free to ask questions. Fine. Anybody with any questions? Okay. So basically, out here, just a minute, somebody is asking a question. I'll talk about it later on. Right? I'll talk about it later on. You can have a look at the recorded sessions as well. Okay, you can have a look at the recorded session as well. What is the difference between main class and the other one? I'll talk about that difference as well, Chitra. Just be with me. Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, what is the difference between that? And fine, let's move forward. Okay, so I'll do something known as creating the object of the computer class over here. So how do you create object? You write over here new computer. So you just have to write new followed by the class name. Okay, so what this will do is that in the memory, it will create an object like this. Fine. And this object will have various properties of the computer. For example, this will have the properties like type, operating system, USB port. Okay, so these will be the various properties of the computer which will be there inside this object. Right now, inside the client class, I can create multiple objects. Suppose I create two objects. Then what will happen in the memory is that two such objects will be created. It will be having type, OS, USB port. Okay, these two objects will have these three properties. Now these objects are hanging, you cannot access them. To access them, you need to have object references. So you'll have to write like this over here: computer C1 equals to new computer, and computer C2 equals to new computer. So C1 and C2 are known as references. Okay, C1 will point towards the first object, C2 will point towards the second object. Don't think that C1 and C2 will be objects. C1 and C2 will be the references to the objects. Alright, now if you write over here C1 dot, sorry, you can access the properties of this of the object with the references. You can write C1 dot, hold on, C1 dot type is desktop, C1 dot OS is Windows, C1 dot USB ports are say 4. So these are the properties which are given to the first object. Fine. So the type becomes desktop, right? OS becomes Windows. There are 4 USB ports in this object. Alright. Similarly, I can initialize the second object as well. You have to write C2 dot type is say Mac, C2 dot OS is, sorry, this is a laptop, and this will become Mac OS, and C2 dot say USB ports are 3. Fine. So the second object also gets initialized, right? Just 1 minute. Laptop, Mac, and 3. Right. So you have got two objects. Each object will have the copy of the variables which were present in the computer class. Right. So this is known as creating the object of the class and initializing the variables of the object, that is initializing the object. C1 and C2 are not the objects, they are object references. For example, if I write over here computer C3 equals to none, what does this mean? This means that the C3 is a reference which is there in the memory. Okay, and it is not pointing to any object. Right. On the next line, I can write C3 equals to new computer. So what will happen is C3 will point towards a new object over here in the memory. So this is the object and this is the object reference. Right. Okay. Anybody with any question? Any question? or any doubt till now? I couldn't understand your question, Madhuja. There is, sorry, Praveen, there is no shortcut as such. What does computer C3 stands for? This line you write, right? So this means that there is a reference which is not pointing to anything. Like I'm writing computer C1 equals to new computer. So C1 is a reference which points towards the new object. Okay, over here C3 is a reference which is pointing towards no object. Then on the next line I'm making it point towards an object. Okay, right? So this is known as the object oriented programming. Now in the computer class, say I have a function public void, she is asking computer C3 should be written instead of C3. Are you talking about this line? Why didn't I write computer C3? I've already declared it in the beginning. I don't need to declare it. C3 is of the type computer, I've told it. Okay, so on the next line I'm pointing to C3 to a object. Okay, this is always the object. Okay, C3 will be the reference. Alright, this is always the object. C3 is the reference. It comes to know automatically. It knows Rajni. Right? Fine. Okay. So when you do it yourself, right, you will come to know a lot of things. Just practice this thing. Whatever I am teaching you in the class, if you don't practice it, then it's no use. All right. So let's do one thing. Let's break for